Hi, my name is Diego Sepulveda. I'm from 9B, and today I'll talk to you about drugs. First of all, I'll make a brief introduction of drugs. The drugs is a substance that changes the metabolism of the body or the way the body works. So, there are two types of drugs. The good ones, which are the ones we can get in a pharmacy or by a medical prescription in a hospital, whatever. But there are some bad drugs, which are the psychoactive drugs. These ones are the ones which create a chemical reaction in our brain, which makes that our feelings, our thoughts, and our behavior gets affected. This can damage, in a really bad way, our nervous system. This is really bad. So, when we talk about the human, we know that the human being is always free because it has some rights and he has control of what he does, whatever he does. But with drugs, I talk to you with like sort of an addiction. So when a normal human uses drugs, it can be really bad because it can lose his volition about himself. So he cannot control anymore his body because he is always gonna want more and more drugs or the type of drugs he uses. So I'll talk you a little bit about the origin of drugs. So the drugs were invented 1,000 years ago. It was used for rituals or for, the religion. But in our modern times, we have combined it with chemistry, with chemicals like dangerous chemicals which are not supposed to be in our body. So that's why we create an addiction. For example, the marijuana is a plant, but combined with some chemicals, that's why it's dangerous. So, Colombia is one of the most famous countries in the world because of drugs. This is a real bad thing because we had other great things that can represent us in other parts of the world. But Colombia had a boom of the drugs in the 80s because one of the most dangerous traffickers of all the history of the world, known as Pablo Escobar, and the Medellin cartel, were there, and they were the ones which created like more and more drugs and send it to other parts of the world, especially the United States of America. So, Colombia, well, the kids in Colombia, the ones who use drugs, are starting to use drugs at the age of 12. This is really bad because people from 18 to 24 years old are the ones which use them the most. So if we're starting from 12 and it creates an addiction from 12 to 24, there are like 12 years. So it's really bad because 12 years using those drugs and maybe more time, this is a really bad thing. Also, another important fact, another statistic, is that from every 5 children with a drugs problem, 3 are boys and 2 are girls. But children are more vulnerable because they are still developing their body. So this is a really bad thing. The topic about the neurons, I'll talk to you about a chemical reaction which happens in our body. The thing with the neurons is that they stop developing at the age of 22. So this is a really bad thing. The kids are starting to use drugs at the age of 12. It's 10 years before. Also, I brought a little book. It's about drugs. It is from a Mexican author. That's why it is in Spanish. I didn't found it in English because there's no translation. But it is really interesting because it talks about the children, not adults, but from people with an underage. This talks about the quality and characteristic of each type of drugs. For example, it talks about the marijuana. How does that feel when you use them? How is it called? For example, the cocaine is known as the drug of happiness. And it mentioned all the characteristics, and that's why I think it is really important. The Mexican author is called Carlos Cuauhtemoc Sanchez. You know that in Mexico there's also a really big problem of drugs. It is the main place where you can traffic, the, you can pass drugs to America. Well, in Colombia too, but Mexico is really below California, so it can help a lot with that. And also, I'll talk a little bit about the consequences of drugs. First of all, it damages our brain, our neurons if we are underage, and also if we are adults, but in less proportion. It damages our nervous system. It's really bad because it controls our body, our whole body. It alters the heart rate, which can make us have a heart attack. It gives us like a tendency to have seizures. You know, seizures when people just get in the floor and start to move in a weird way, and it's done once you get to his esophagus, so he dies. And also, the really worst thing about drugs is that it can make you, it's a slave. You know, like it's becoming like a lack of volition with drugs. And a consequence of that, of when we become slaves of the drugs, is that it damages our relationships. So we become aggressive if we use drugs. So if I use the marijuana and I start to create an addiction and I lose my volition completely, I'm not gonna go with my family and pass time because of that, because I'm here with my thing and not going anywhere, right, any place else, because I treat bad way my friends and my family, because no, this is my drug, get out of here. So finally, a little conclusion I want to make is that the drug addict, the person who uses drugs, is not the only affected with the drugs, with the drug problem, but the whole society, because the society is the one that surrounds the drug addict, and everyone gets affected if it's surrounding the drug addict. The drugs can ruin completely someone's life. Thank you.